hello, world. I'm Benito Childs. You're watching the UHIH1 Media Network team. Thank you for joining us.
Hey Don,
What's up, man?
how you doing?
I'm wonderful. How about you guys?
Good, good. I'm Benito Childs. This is Deshaun Goree. William Turner, who's the guy that you always talk to, isn't going to be with us with this segment.
Okay.
But we are glad to have you here. And I was just listening to Something's Different This Time.
Yes. Yes. You like that record?
Oh, something's different this time. Oh, yes, it is. Something's different this time. Oh, I know there's something different this time. This time. Oh, something's different this time. Maybe it's the way the tears are falling down. They're falling a little harder this time.
All right. That's it right there, man. And that's opening with the ear gasser. Hello, world. We're back, and this is another segment of You Heard It Here First. I'm hanging out here with Alvin Garrett. We're doing a Zoom. A conference or a podcast? I don't know. Is there a difference? It's called Zoom call. Okay. So anyway, this is Deshaun Goree, and he is our co-host for this afternoon in this segment. I want to say hello and thank you to the whole world for tuning in and hanging out with us. Welcome, Alvin Garrett. We were listening to Something's Different This Time. And you are a Grammy, you won a Grammy this year or you're nominated for a Grammy?
Oh man, I've had a Grammy nomination since 2012, so I'm still trying to get back on the stage, but I'm gonna make that music along the way. You know how it go.
So in 10 people, how many of them tell you that you sound like Sam Cooke?
Man, 10 out of 10.
I'm listening, I'm like, wait a minute. Robbie Neville and Sam Cooke done snuck off somewhere and made a kid, and it's this dude.
I'm telling you, I hear Sam Cooke and Al Green. Those are the top two people that I'm compared to. They say Sam Cooke and Al Green, which is
Okay,
which is which is quite an honor. Quite an honor.
absolutely. How long you been doing this, man?
Man, I, I'll say I got my roots is in bass guitar. That's my roots. I started that when I was a little boy. But in terms of actually taking singing and songwriting seriously, uh, more so in my latter years, I've been singing as a solo artist since 2010. Started taking it serious. Been a songwriter much longer than I've been a singer. Took me some lessons and got in that hour, started practicing.
Okay, okay.
So I've written a lot of songs for a lot of artists that people know, some like Joe, and so I've sort of kind of got my foot in the door as a writer, and then just really ventured off into the business as a singer songwriter. So just honored that people are starting to recognize my own voice, and so that's been quite a journey.
Man, come on now. There's nobody that's this bad that ain't been bad for at least 25 years. Come on. He sound like, well, I had worked on it and then, they found me over to the bus stop just saying that was yesterday. And then this morning, they told me to come on down to the studio, So I just started my career But I'm loving it.
I'm telling you, man, I love to you not. I I was so, I was so hell bent on being in the background, just being honest. I'm a musician first, and I'm a
Okay.
writer, I'm a producer. So I just never, honestly, I'd had no intention of being out front. So I never saw myself as a singer. But every time I would send in a demo, you're trying to get placements with other artists, you may have 10, 15 songs, and they'll say, "Who's the guy on the records? Like, who's the guy?" I'm like, "That's me." They like, "Man, it sounds like an album. Why aren't you singing?" So it's like the feedback coming back to me when I send in my demos that I sound like I should be putting out an album. But at that time, I just wasn't focusing on myself. And so my dad, who's Alvin Garrett #1, he's just like, "Why you keep giving all your music away?" He's like, "Nobody can sing you like you." And so he just encouraged me to actually do it. And so, man, I hired a stylist. I started eating different. I had to remake my whole image because I just wasn't focused on being out front. And so I just
Okay.
did what I advised other artists to do. I just put myself on a plan to just get my image right, work on my stage presence. Because as a musical director, I was always the one behind the scenes,
Right.
putting other people's show together. So I had to get my own show together. You know what I
Right.
mean? So
Right.
I just totally remade my brand, and just put myself on the process, to being able to be respected as an artist.
So in that context, and in the context that, okay, there's the dude that built the car, the guy that keeps the car running, the guy that keeps the car shiny. And sometimes none of those guys are the guy that's driving.
Hmm.
So for you, what does it feel like to be all those pieces and parts, um, and have that experience? You understand where a minute ago you're talking to famous people, celebrities, noted, quoted icons in the business, and you go, "Hey man, I got a song for you," and the person that you're talking to goes, "Well, look at man, it's a good song, and I don't want it because what we need to do is have you sing it and just go on and put you out there." What did that feel like? What are the words that go with the emotion as you're realizing that this transition is taking place and in real time? What's happening in your head? Describe that for us in our view.
I'm gonna build on that, man. What they told me, those celebrities and those labels, what they told me was no. It was no. It
Okay,
Nobody accepted me as an artist. That's my story. It was like, we only want your pen. Like, we only want your song. Like, why do you want to be an artist? Like, you're just such a great writer. I try to sing. That was always the feedback. And I actually wrote a song called By Myself. And the first line of that song is, "I've been rejected way too many times in my life. I won't take no for an answer anymore." And I mean, I had written hit songs for, labels, and they were just like, "No, like, just be a writer." You know what I mean? Like, so other people trying to define me. And so the people that I thought would be the ones, like what you just said, "Hey man, you got it. Let's support you." No, the all ones that turned their back on me. And I appreciate that more now than ever before, because nobody can claim me.
that's
Nobody
right.
can say I made him. Nobody can say, "Oh yeah, I put him on." Only the good Lord above and my hustle can take credit for that. And the few people along the way that were willing to sow opportunities and give me a chance to just sing. And I think about, how many nursing homes I sang in, elementary schools, uh, just any and everybody that would just let me sing my music. I thank those people. I mean, I sang in people's backyard, because the promoters wouldn't put me on the stage. It was
Wow.
like, it's just like, go play the bass. Like, you're so good at that. Go write songs. You're so good at that. And I was still on a learning curve on my own dream. So I don't want that. And so I
Right.
said, well, I'm gonna just do it wherever I can until I get where I'm trying to go. So my story out of just I ain't gonna lie, just resilience. I just was not gonna be told no. I was like, I'll put my own money behind me. Like, no, nobody's ever spent money on me for radio, for promotions, for anything, my own records. I've always financed myself, just go hustle it back, through music, through my
So you
band,
had,
doing weddings.
so you did 100% complete, absolute prove up on your own.
Yes.
And nobody came to you even at the halfway point and went, you know what, man, we could take over from you. You're doing great. Look at what you did without us.
I
Wow.
I literally had this one label. I won't say the name, but I asked them maybe 2 or 3 years before to help me, and I asked for, like, some money for promotions. They were like, no. I did it myself. I came back like a year or two later with a different single. I said, look, I'll put up the first half. You put up the second half. They're like, well, go and get started, see how it works. I start climbing the charts. I said, all right, your turn. They're like, nah, we're gonna pass. So it was like, I'm like, I'm fronting my half first, like saying, like, let me get it going. Like, I'm not even asking for belief. I'm asking for you to read the numbers and just look at the numbers. And I've had my own theories as to why that happened to me like that. But I used to try to explain it. I ain't gonna lie, because it used to hurt. But now I celebrate it because it gave me something I needed to get this passion out. When you hear me singing now, it comes out in my voice, it comes out in my songs, and it also comes out in how I help other people in their journey
Mhm.
along the way and encouraging them, because there's people starting to look at me now. They don't know. And I told a young kid today that I mentor, I said, man, stories are not written overnight, they're written over time.
Yes.
I said,
Yes.
stories are written over time, not overnight. I said, man, the fact that you listening to me today took me 20 years to earn that credibility. I said, it took me 20 years to earn the credibility for you to sit here and listen to what the words coming out of my mouth. Because people are like, what have you done? Who you been? Who you work for? Who are you? And they just won't listen to you, invisible. I said, I had to
Right.
earn this right to sit here and tell you what you need to do to get on the right path. And so I appreciate that now, but that's my story. And I never give my story away, you know?
So share with us, if you would, please, if you can,
Mm-hmm.
what is your theory about what was taking place in the back room or in the back office, so to speak, when you obviously got signed, okay,
Mm-hmm.
and they
Mm-hmm.
tried to be like, well, no, we don't, no. Just go over there and play the bass guitar. You just super wonderful at that.
Right.
That said, what is your theory about what may have been taking place in the backdrop?
I, let's say, number one, I feel like I know too much. Like, I feel like I was too smart, and that's not an arrogant. I feel like I was too intelligent. I have a business management degree, honor student from Sanford University. I read. I'm a label type thinker, so I know the numbers. Like, I wasn't dumb enough. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just asked way too many questions, read too many lines in the contract. And that can be a headache for management, for labels. Like, look, saying, do what we tell you to do, take your advance, sign your life away, go away.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
depending on what their mission is, their internal or spiritual, if you will, mission and purpose and intention to be in the business on an individual
Exactly.
basis. Depending on what that is, it could be, but please tell
Yeah,
us.
you're exactly right. I ran into that with club owners, promoters, and people that simply don't want you in their side of the pot, right? You're negotiating way too hard, little brother. Just get up there and sing. And I've seen artists that simply like, hey, how much I'm getting paid? That's all I need to know. And honestly, I mean, I get it. I'm a businessman. Less questions, easier to get through the deal. That's one thing that I feel is like, man, he a headache. And you can be interpreted, you can be perceived as a headache when you talk too long when it comes to business. Okay. The other thing I believe that I was too positive, right? It was, hey man, you just go gospel. Why don't you just be a gospel singer?
Ah, okay.
It's like it's like I found this space, this lane, so I could be a Sam Cooke, Al Green type of singer in an era where they R&B ratchet. We want our R&B to degrade women, to degrade what
Right,
black manliness is, to not reflect black family values like the old music. You know, you
right,
speaking poetically to a woman. I don't believe labels want that no more because that ain't what they getting behind. Because that's my theory. I'm a little too gentlemanly. You know what I'm saying? So just go sing gospel. You know what I'm saying? We tell you got the church in you. Go sing gospel. Well, Sam Cooke wasn't gospel, but he still touched your heart. You see
right.
what I'm saying? So why can't I put out music like you just played and have it played on mainstream urban AC radio and folks get inspired in the middle of the day? Think people I'm trying to reach ain't finna tune on into the gospel station. You know
But
what I'm saying?
you do know that if we at the Pork Chop Palace and we find out that you can run the place, you are
Uh-huh.
also fired, okay, while you over there pretending that all you do is steal French fries. You're fired.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way it works. If the
Yeah.
captain finds out that you can navigate the boat just as good as him, and maybe you don't need the map, you're looking at the stars, and you might be better than him, you were oh so thrown overboard. We don't know what happened. I just heard a big splash. I didn't see it come back.
Yeah. Hey, you speaking wisdom, my brother.
No, see, you remind me a lot of people that I know where somebody had to take them aside and go, look, um, if you're gonna be asking them kind of questions and actually, realistically believing that we want to tell you the truth, perhaps the truth is that now it's time for you to be your own businessman and open your own label with a publishing division. Don't pick you a band, you understand me? Maybe buy a nightclub or two, and maybe put some dollars into helping somebody own a group of radio stations and just, go on and go for it because you're at that part where if we start being transparent with you, well, it's not going to be the relationship that we started out with. You see,
Mm-hmm.
and this is in any business enterprise. I've been
Exactly.
in places where they took me in the conference room and said, it's time for you to go because, well, the only job left for you to do is my job and I own the place. So, you know, you're going to, if you want to stay in the business, I can help you get some equipment of your own. They even got some space across the street. We could be
Yeah.
friendly competitors, but the part where, you want more and you're asking questions, the bottom line questions, and now you want to know, well, wait a minute, don't we only pay 8 cents for these? And then we sell them for $9, right? Okay,
Right.
so what happens to the difference between the 8 cents and the $9? What y'all doing with that? How is that apportioned out to the square footage and the space? And what we paying for? Because all of a sudden you're invested. So you're saying, what are we paying?
Yeah. Yeah.
What are we paying to the distribution company to keep my stuff straight? Well, why you need to know that?
So my theory is not so far fetched. What you say?
No, not at all. No, when I think about what you have experienced from a business standpoint, um, no, not at all. I would say that it would be almost safe to just lean all the way into it and go past theory and say, well, that's what happened. You know,
Mm.
that it's
Mm.
time for you to be your own businessman and be the creator, the creative and the creator that you've always been. But in terms of, we'll just say, administrating and navigating your future, the best person to do that for you is you. Now, this
And,
doesn't apply to everybody. Some people they don't want to be that responsible. They aren't asking those kind of questions. Not at all. They're just like you said. Well, look, yeah, what? We getting 1,500? Okay, so all right,
and
no problem. Let's just
everybody's not built for this side of the desk. You know what I'm saying? And that's just the truth. And I tell people, I said, look, I you have to know that being your own executive, not just this cute little thing to tweet about and say, man, I'm full time music. Well, you got full time bills too, you know, full time costs of running a business. And if you're not prepared and you don't have a plan and you're not leveraged enough, you just can't say that as some type of colloquialism or a cool thing to say. And you hear that all the time with musicians. I want to be a full time musician. What you gonna do with 40 hours per week? What you gonna do with it?
No, you know what I tell those people? You know what, man? When you meet like celebrities and heavyweights and stuff, and they let you ask them for advice.
Uh-huh.
Okay, ask them. You know, well, how good do you have to be
Mm.
for the people around you to decide that we adore you? We are enamored by you. Now, there are part of you that is a complete idiot and does not know what the hell it's doing. And we love that part of you so much that, you know what, we're going to come in and we're going to take care. We're going to fill in the blanks. We're going to make the explanations. We're going to create the, what they call it, the compensating factors and compelling reasoning and do all this for you and just make it, you know, just so, because, you know, you just making it wonderful for us. All right. Well, if you're a musician and you get the opportunity to ask for advice, okay, ask a real celebrity, how wonderful do you have to make it for them, for the people around you to decide, you know what, I love him, man. Let's not steal from him, man. Let's keep everything the way it's supposed to be, you know. Make sure you get his last dollar on. And I know he's not interested in knowing how we do it. He just want to do the music. And we just love him and we just gonna, you know, and it's gonna always be exactly down to the last penny. How good must you be to attract an administrative business team that wants to get behind you like that because you're the artiste, not the artist, the artiste. How good do
Mm.
you have to be?
Good enough to push that bottom line to justify everything you just said. Is that you ain't got to be good. It's not about art at that point. It's about the numbers. And a lot of people in the art community hate to have that conversation, but it's simply about the numbers. If you can't make enough money doing you, why would I do it? You know what I'm saying? Why would
There
you
you
go
go.
buy a piece of property that you're gonna lose money on? No, you want to put enough in it to get a lot back. You know, you want to flip it. This the music business is banking. That's really all it is a form of banking. And so the
I
people
like
making
that.
those yeah, the people making those decisions like, hey, in order for us to make 1 million, we got to invest 250. That's a good return if we can get the million. But if we're gonna lose 400, let's pass. You can sing like hummingbird, best talent on planet. You're not getting a deal because they can't get the numbers back. And it's banking. You know, nobody will make a bad banking decision like that. And so I always knew and didn't take it personal. I said, I understand. I may not look appealing to your bottom line because you don't know how I make my money. But as a business person, I know how to make me money. You know what I'm saying? I know how to diversify and do enough things that you may not see where you can get a return on it because you need to sell me quick, fast, and in a hurry. Well, over time, my bottom line is always right. I'm always in the black every year because I have a well diversified a portfolio of things that I do with myself, my team, to where I'm the leader, but I know I'm building my dream. I say with 30-day bricks. I build my dream with 30-day bricks. Every 30 days, I'm taking care of my house, my wife, my kids, my bills, and I make enough money to keep investing in nice night. I can invest in myself along the way. So I understand. Artists like me may not be attracted to that bank, but I can invest in my own assets over
Right.
time. When I get that money and when I get to where I am, I'm not gonna give it to you. I'm gonna get a return on my own investment because why?
Well, I mean,
I put it all in.
you know that every label owner has some or another notion in his mind that history will repeat itself and that the gods will smile down upon them the way that they smiled down upon Barry Gordy when he got the Funk Brothers, the five dudes that man, just give us a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Make sure I get to work on time. I get 2 sugars in my coffee, and I smoke a cigarette when I have it, and then I'm ready to come and just make it funky for you. Every
Right.
label owner dreams that he gets those guys. Well, you said Stanford, right?
Yeah.
You
Well,
went to Stanford.
not Stanford in California, Sanford in Birmingham, Alabama. Uh,
Stanford.
yes,
And bury
Sanford.
that
Yeah.
out. Okay. Now, what
Yeah.
was Stanford like? That's a business finishing school?
It's a private Christian college here in university here in Birmingham, Alabama. But I got a business management degree. I played football. Very esteemed, accredited university here.
Well, of course,
Um,
that makes you dangerous,
yeah,
extremely dangerous. This is the guy that could come in, blow you away, play the bass, okay, write the music, make somebody else famous and keep them famous, okay. Now, if we got 10 dudes that I need him to make famous and keep famous, what am I going to do when he wants to be famous? We got a problem.
you just nailed it. No, no, hands down, you just nailed it. Like I said, I don't like putting certain people on blast.
Well, I mean, it's kind of obvious.
Yeah, I literally had an artist who, I was cranking out hits for him so fast, and I was letting them hear my music. I was like, okay, we got a team. We're a team. Well, what about me? It's like, why would you ever want to be an artist, man, when you can write 1,000 songs, they can all be out. You can only push one song as an artist at a time. Like, why would you want to do that? Just keep writing. Like, I mean, was adamantly trying to discourage me. Like, keep writing for these folks. They already famous. Like, why would you go through the trouble of trying to be like them when you could just write and sit at home and get a check? And I'm like, you just said it
But see,
because I had
but see, wait a minute. Something might be awry when they start saying stuff like, "What you doing a push up for? You look okay. Why are you worried about the size of your waist? Just go and eat the Cheerios. Get you some more potato chips. Don't write it nothing yet, man." You know that when they start talking to you like that, something is awry.
I'm telling you, like,
You know,
give us those
like the
thoughts.
man whose doctor tells his wife, well, he's a borderline diabetic. We have to kind of back off the salt and the butter and whatnot. And she says, yes, and she's lopping a half a cube of butter and putting that in his grits. Here you go, baby. They
Exactly.
mad at you because you shut down the whole stable. Now, you don't have to tell us who, but how many people did you keep famous before you decided, you know what, I'm going to do my thing?
Uh, well, I would say I learned pretty quickly. I just kind of gotten a couple of major placements on the east side, and I learned it from that one experience. That it wasn't chasing placements wasn't something I could do for a very
Mm-hmm.
long time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Simply because I realized how much of a ghost. Like, if you don't have a name, if they take your name away, I was writing hits and I was looking for my name in the PR releases so I could promote myself, to get more gigs. You know what I'm saying? Like, wrote that hit. It's number 4. It's number 3. That's me. That artist is touring, singing me. He
Right.
sounds like me. They never put my name in any of the press releases. They would name all the B-side writers. I'm like, I don't have the singles. I got the singles. Well, man, you worry about the wrong thing. Ain't you getting your check? And I'm like, no, but I need to build my brand. Folks calling these guys for writing the album cuts to write on it. So I was like, I need my name. You know what I'm saying? My name is all I got. I don't care what kind of deals we got to cut to get in the game. And I understand you got to pay the piper, whatever. I don't mind doing business, but don't take my name away. You see what I'm saying? My name, my credibility is all I got. You know what I'm saying? And so when I saw that, like, we're not even gonna let people know you exist. We're gonna put our name on your records. Because
Yeah.
if they see me, it's like you got
More like,
charisma.
more like That touchdown was caught by our receiver. And now a message from our sponsors. The person who
Exactly.
threw the ball was our quarterback.
Pretty much. So I mean, honestly, for me, that's when I said when they just like just keep writing, just keep writing. And I knew at that point that you guys gonna use me up till I got nothing left. You're gonna kill my spirit and you're gonna throw me away and go take submissions from other young writers. And so I said, I'm not gonna go out like that. I'm gonna build relationships, and I developed my writing style to a point where I'll sit and talk to somebody. I'll look at their marketing strategy. Like I hated cold writing. You know what I'm saying? If you was like, hey man, I'm here, send me something, send you something. Like I don't know what your strategy is. I don't, you know, what kind of person are you? Are you who you
Right.
targeting? You singing the 18-year-olds? You singing the 50-year-olds? I need to know that before I start writing.
But
You know, it's
no,
not
no, no. It's more like, hello? Yes, check this out. I want to be famous by next Friday. I got 18 inches of hair. It's my real stuff. I was born with a penis, and they told me I'm handsome. Give me a hit, y'all.
like I'm like I ain't got time for that, man.
No,
I'm
that's when
good.
you come back with. That's when you come back with a hit, and you explain to them that, look here. Um, for this, you're gonna need to learn how to roller skate with just one roller skate, you know. And you got this outfit. It only got one pants leg. You know, one side is the pants, the other side is the skirt. Cause you know we got to really express ourselves, make sure we do something for everybody. You know. And suddenly
Yeah,
they will start finding their identity as an artist.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, man.
So I want to ask, what did the music industry look like when you first started?
Oh, they still selling CDs.
Okay, so you came in the early 80s then.
No, 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 not early 80s. They were still selling CDs in 2010, 2012. You know, I
Okay,
was on the back end of it, like at the
okay.
dying, that last stretch. You know, so I was on a, couple of 100,000 CDs sold to a record. You know, you like, and then all of a sudden, it's gone. You know, so
Okay.
I experienced, begging for my mechanicals. So, like, where my mechanicals at? So, I'm one of those artists like, God, I wish I was in the game 10 years early because, I worked with an artist who, like 2004, where they were selling 2 million records. And you sitting here, God, them checks look nice, and I saw that, you know what I mean? But then I also,
Mhm.
of course, am living in the post manufacturing era. And a lot of people don't understand how devastating that was to the whole formula of this business, and how now I say, and I tell people, I say, I'm not selling music, music is selling me, right? Because if
Okay.
you try to sell a product where the consumer presumes it's free, because I'm streaming it. I listen to songs for free, so I'm not paying for music. I pay for the subscription. So the consumer doesn't even feel like they paying for music no more. So how can you sell somebody something they ain't buying? Right?
Yeah.
They gotta buy into you. So I make music that sells me, sells my likeness, and then I sell you everything else, which could be my songwriting class, which could be my clothes, which could be a conversation. The music, I'm giving it to you because you wouldn't buy it anyway.
So you like the
So
water's free, but it costs $10.95 for me to serve it to you. I love
there you go.
it.
That's the way you got to think about it because hey, people want to buy into your views, your lifestyle, what do you support, or they want to know you. So it's like they hear music is in one in out the other. But what's gonna make me engage you with my dollars? And that's why I always say I'm not selling music. Music is selling me. Make the type of music that sells who you are, what you stand for, what your views are, so that people can engage you and say, hey man, I want you to come sing or talk to our kids. I get called to speak to kids in schools all the time simply because I'm a fan and I'm safe. I don't curse. See what I'm saying? So,
Mhm.
so a lot of artists would never get called by corporations to come speak and to do
Of
things like
course
that.
not.
So I pick up checks. I pick up checks to come speak and sing because I know what I'm selling this. You see what I'm saying? So and they go do their research and they go as far down that timeline as they can to see if you what views you are, what your political choices are. They check you out because they have accountability before they write those checks. And so if you don't understand how the world is engaging you and your art, still trying to operate out that old paradigm of selling CDs and selling the music, especially as independent artists. Now, for the folks that's been grandfathered in, like, let's call it the ones that were grandfathered in that already came with fan bases, they can do tours and reunion tours and folks pack stadiums before COVID. But that's good for them. They were grandfathered in. That money was already there. They from that old era. But if you just trying to get in the game now, you ain't got that equity to pull from the 80s, 90s, you know what I'm saying? Even the 60s and 70s, you don't have that. You going from scratch where people like, okay, and
Right. What'd you do this week? Exactly.
exactly. So you gotta switch your mindset up to say, what is it about me that people want to buy and who want to buy me? And for me, my fan base is a little older. You know what I'm saying? I understand that I appeal to the 38 to 60 demographic black female. They love me and men. Men see me as sort of a man's man. So I know my demographics. So I'm not out here trying to sing the 18-year-old girls. You know what I'm saying? I'm singing the grown women and guys who want to treat who remember the Motown, who remember the machismo of the old R&B music, how to be real dudes. You see what I'm saying? So they
Yes.
they can relate. Like,
Not
oh, that's a
be
man.
misogynistic. That's what I call it. I remember that era. And it
Yeah.
was okay to look at my woman and go, you know what? I heard, what your girlfriends and them. I heard my auntie and I heard my mama, but no, we're not equal. That's not gonna happen. Okay. You want me to say equal? I can say it's equal. But if you want to be equal, you need to understand that starting out, the way to be equal is to understand that we're not equal. Okay, that's how it's gonna work.
We ain't not. We certainly now that's a debate, but we certainly not the same. I'll say that
Absolutely.
because you're
But
not
the reason
gonna
that I
get
said
me in
that,
trouble. You won't get me in trouble. My missus hear that.
The reason I said that is because I do want your I want your opinion as what I'm gonna call an old soul.
Okay.
Okay. Look, man. Because of Black Lives Matter, because of gangster hip hop, because we have had one hell of a cool vibration with a negative context message delivered over the top of it. Okay. And now, because by all appearances, unless they really, missed a few beans and rocks and what have you, the new Madam Vice President is a sister. Okay. Now, what we're gonna do with all this gangster rap that says that, you understand, she ain't supposed to have no brains, that's not a queen. In other words, what we send through the speakers drives what folks think and speak to each other about. And this has been the history of the music industry since as far back as I can remember, and the people that I learned from told me that it was that way before they got in it. Okay. That the message that comes through the speakers drives what the subject matter is that the masses talk to each other about. Now, why did I mention that? Because you talked about the 50s, you talked about 60s, 70s, 80s, so on and so forth. What was the subject matter behind the music? I listen to what you're doing and I'm like, holy shit, he going back there with my daddy and them called when the man was really a man, you know what I'm saying? You had to tell a woman to mind her place. She knew she was a woman.
Yeah.
And she would tell you, look here, you lead, I'm following, that's the way I want it. Okay, and the music went along with these ideas. today's music does not promote that as a lifestyle. It does not promote that as a social construct. But now that it appears that the way that this country is going to be thinking moving forward is possibly going to change in a drastic way, what's your opinion about if we need to get ready, or are we supposed to just kick back and wait for all this stuff that we've been making to become socially acceptable and then we'll fix it? In other words, you follow.
I believe I follow you.
Because see, you did not join. In other words, your style is your style. So you didn't join everybody who went, well, you know what, the song ain't about this subject and it just started this genre, then we're not gonna make that money. You decided, you know what, I guess I ain't gonna make that money. I'm gonna do what I do. So
Yeah.
that being your situation, demonstrated, not discussed, okay? What's your opinion about if we need to purposely change the message in the music as we move forward in this country, given all the stuff we've been through and all of what it looks like we're gonna be going through moving forward?
My last the record that this the EPI that I put this song out on, Something's Different This Time, is called The Awakening. And if you have a chance to listen to the 5 songs that I put on there, it'll answer everything you just said. Um, I believe that music and the intentionality of what we say is so important. And I'm very big on words. Matter of fact, I alluded to it earlier. I have a songwriting class called The Right Life. That's WRTE. And I actually work with the reentry program here in Birmingham, Alabama, where I talk to that young hip hop generation that's been pipelined into our prison system. And I let them know, I said, the people who are making the decisions for what you listen to are not people that want to see you be their boss's kids. Okay. I mean, or their kids' bosses. Let me say their kids'
Right,
bosses. These
right.
are not people that want you have solid families and competing out here in the economy. They want you dead. They want you in prison. They want your families broken. They want you emasculated. Who's making the decisions to where our music is the only music that destroys our culture? Why is that? Do you think it's somebody that look like me and you making that decision? Okay. So I say, I make them aware that this music is killing you. How many people you know in your neighborhood made rap songs that's dead right now? All of them agree. I know somebody. I said, well, how about we write songs that we're not allowed to use the N-word. We're not allowed to glorify violence. We're not allowed to call women the H's and the B's. If you got to do that, go do it out there. But in this class, we don't use that kind of language. It ain't got to be all sweet and positive, but it can glorify anything that kills our people, that destroys our people. And 100% of the time, they get it together because they want to be in my class. They want to get on that mic. I want to be a part of something positive because I ain't got nothing else. You care about me. And I promise I have created a situation that said, if you like football, if you want to play on the team, you got to go to class. Okay, you might can run like the wind, but you ain't getting on this team. You ain't going to make it to college. You ain't going to make it to the pros if you don't first get that C average. So over here, I say, if you don't stay involved in your life calling of getting yourself together, staying out of jail, you don't get to come to the studio. Every one of them perk up. Because why? I want to go to the studio. I want to learn from this man. So I'm taking whatever little fame or celebrity in their eyes, I've created an accountability system that does exactly what you said. And I said, look, as long as y'all are making music that doesn't kill our people, I'm gonna do everything I can to make sure the world can hear it. Because what happens when one of y'all become a star doing something positive? The next person's gonna start believing they can do it. And you can start changing culture. You know, we finished a song called Is It Really Love? Because in the class we were talking about what's different between being in love and you just hear the distorted views of relationships. So we made a song out of that. And so now they feel a part of something, they're building a community. So even in my own way, through my songwriting class with young people from that generation, I'm using my platform of positive music and inspiring music to guide them, even in hip hop, to say, man, maybe one day we can make a few stars without the killing, without the B's and the H's and the N words and the music. And then the next generation starts saying, well, I want to do that too, because they've been lied to. See, it ain't a lot of them making it. They just see enough of them to believe that they can emulate that, like you just said, and it becomes the culture. Well, we got to make stars doing it different, and that's a responsibility I feel I've taken on myself, that I want to be in my legacy at some point I leave here, or even after I leave here, that I inspired a couple of young people to try something different. You know,
Now, about politics, religion, you may. Go ahead.
Before we go there, let me say one thing because when we asked last episode, I'd like to get your take on it. And so the back of the album, it used to say who the producer was, who the composer is, what studio it was created in, all of that stuff. Why do you think they transitioned into the current climate, which is we not telling nobody that Alvin Garrett wrote this song? We're not telling nobody that Benito produced it and so did this on it. We just gonna tell everybody that it's Jay-Z and this is the hot new song. Right? We just telling them, it's the Isley Brothers and this they hot new track.
it's business. You got to drive the market down, because if this credit builds your market value, now you can negotiate with me.
Right.
But in order to get everybody's prices coming down, because you don't know who did it, you ain't got a sound. You ain't tagging the records no more. You can't keep building your brand and negotiating with me. So whereas I used to have to pay 50 racks for one track, I'm gonna pay you 5 now, right? Because don't nobody know the difference between you and the next Joe Blow. Hey, it's business. We gotta devalue your name recognition, not the music itself, just your name brand. We can take that away. Then now we can wheel and deal at a much lower price. So that's honestly that's what that's all about, and no question about it. Because when you get a name, is when you can start making demands. Oh, he wrote that. Well, how much? How much you charge? Oh, he wrote that. How much you charge? And that price just keep creeping up, creeping up. So
Well, that said, you know enough to run a label.
yeah,
What happens when everybody who's in the various places where you don't have rhythm and you don't touch down with folks, you understand, you did music with them. Let's just say, theoretically or hypothetically, everybody decides they want to work for Alvin Garrett. Now, I want to come be a songwriter, I want to be a producer under your direction. How fast do you have that problem as the label owner where a minute ago I was worth 30 grand a tune, as a producer from beginning from end to end. I'm gonna handle everything, play everything, bring the artists in, do direct everything from end to end and hand it to you. And now you need all those numbers to change. From the way that the business has been running, how fast does that happen? Let's say you're a year new, and now all of a sudden all the hot producers want to work for you. How fast do you have this as a problem as an administrator?
um, well, I'll say I say I'm a hybrid, right? I got a dual personality. When I'm an
Okay.
artist, I'm an artist. When I'm an executive, I'm an executive. You know what I'm saying? I I I go hard. It comes down to the business part. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't. The reason I understand it and respect it is because it's what you got to do. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you can't let somebody drive your bottom line if you know it's going to put you out of position to make a profit. So it's like I gotta do what I gotta do. Hey man, I got 10 guys that can give me this music. Okay, supply and demand. Now, if you think you're the only one, I'm sorry, I'm gonna pass on you because you're pushing me around, and I can't justify that investment. I can't get it back. So anytime I in my development here in my town and when I work with artists, I always hey man, you gotta start with a fundamental understanding of what it takes to make a dollar. You know what I'm saying? You gotta be realistic about that. You
Mhm,
know,
mhm.
I'm a bank and I'm not gonna spend, I'm not gonna have average money with no collateral. I'm just not gonna do it because I'll never get it back. And I'm not in the business of losing money. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to the hobby of music, I love it, man. Let's create, let's get into that. When it comes in the business of it, it's a business and it has to make sense. And so I'm always straight up with people I collaborate with. We always have those discussions up front, which typically turn people off on the creative side. Once you start getting into the business of how we're gonna do the split sheet, how we're gonna do this, how we're gonna do all that, they don't talk about, man, let's just vibe. I'm like, nah, I'm good. Let's hey, I say let's get a prenup. You know what I'm saying? Let's
Right, right. No, they don't want that.
nah, nah.
No.
But we gotta do it or I'm good, because I mean I paid my dues. You know what I'm saying? I ran down that and I stayed in the game long enough to where I don't have to chase nobody down to do business with them. I thank God for that. I ain't gonna lie, but I had to do it. And
Mhm.
so I respect that level of writing songs every single day, submitting songs ain't gonna get taken, but you gotta do it. You know what I'm saying? So I went through that phase in my career. So I say I'm one of those people that I was in the mailroom. I know what it's like to be in the mailroom. I'm on the top floor of my business now. So I can come down on any floor and I can run it because I had to climb each floor to get here to
Right.
where I'm going to be empathetic to where you are because I've been there. So I can speak on the level of an aspiring writer, an aspiring producer, artist, all that. But then I can speak from an executive and say, but here's why I can't go spend 20 grand on you right now. Here's why I can't do it. You know what I'm saying? But here's some other ways we can move up to where that investment is justifiable. You know what I'm saying? And it ain't just because you're talented. That ain't gonna be enough. But they don't know that until you really lay it out in a respectful way, not in a degrading or condescending way.
Mhm. Now, these days, do we really need to spend that kind of money on production with real writers, with real songwriters? I mean, given today's technology and whatnot,
Absolutely not.
what kind of math are we really talking about? To be
As
realistic, say you're going to run a
as,
small company.
as 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 little as the relationship can get you. As least as the relationship can get
Well,
it.
things have not changed. I remember back in 1978, there was a guy that said, look, gonna cost you 500, it's gonna cost me 2 joints and a six-pack. I'll be right back. I made him musical director on my project. You know I did.
Yeah, yeah. I listen, like I said, I negotiate. I get what I need to do what I need to do. I sort of assess how badly somebody wants me to do something. But when it's me, I keep relationship. And I'm from Alabama, man. You got to learn how to do everything yourself. I remember time I was in Atlanta, Georgia at a studio. And you got all these guys from Hollywood and all that stuff, Atlanta, blah, they fly. Man, I sat down, I pulled the mic up, sat in front of the board, started running Pro Tools. I started writing the song, demoing the song, mixing the song. They were like, what in the world? They were like, man, what are you? They were like, we don't do that in LA. Everybody got one job. Everybody got one job. I said, bro, I'm from Birmingham, Alabama. I said, if I don't learn how to do it, it ain't getting done. So
No,
it's
no,
like,
no, look. LA, you could get fired because you touched this chord. Your job is the same. You are in the union. You came down to the studio and touched this. You are working out of class. Okay.
yes,
Yeah, the union be real mad. The dude who came who fixed this up and moved it from over there to over, he make $26 an hour wearing Rolex. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. He got a
right.
special name and everything, but when I watched him, I'm like, wait a minute. You make $26 to unplug the extension cord, roll it up, Wait for somebody to tell you to take it over there, and then you take it over there and you plug it back in and you unroll it. Dude, you get $26, right? You know, I remember being on the construction site and they told me, you see this nail? See, take this right here. You see that can over there? Go out there and put this in the can. And when you finish, I'll have another one for you. I did that for free.
Wow.
Getting back to you have been an educator and a musical director, songwriter, and producer, and now performing artist, recording artist.
Yes.
All of that said, are you enjoying the independent part of it? Is it, shall in a word, funner or more enjoyable, if you will, than being under the direction of or at the disposal to, we'll just call it the administrative machinery in the music industry?
Uh, I, I wasn't built to be. I was only built to be a leader. I ain't gonna lie. I just don't have the personality to do anything but lead. Now, with that being said, that makes me the best follower. Like I'm a very, very humble follower when I'm under leadership because I know the the burden of leadership. But I was never meant to be led. So, I was always the one that if I was on your team, you got a 10-man show. Like if I was on your team, I'm doing 10 jobs for you because I believe in my work ethic is just unquestioned. My integrity is unquestioned, which is why I believe I'm able to be blessed now because anybody I've ever worked for, you need to lose me because you got to find 5 people. I'm not lying. You got to find at least 5 people to replace me because I worked that hard. But I worked that hard for myself, and so now that I'm in a position to be my own leader and be my own executive, I love it. And I'm as an artist, I'm finally at the point where I love my own voice. Where I love to hear me sing. I used to make music that I felt like I wanted y'all to like, right?
Oh, okay. Yes. Uh-huh.
And I wanted this person to like. I got one person that I care to make happy now, and that's me. And it took me a long time to get to the place where I would listen to my own music every day, all day, because I simply love what I wrote for me. And that's where I'm finding my space now. That song that you just played, man, I was doing yoga with that music this morning. Because I love what I did. Like I love my own music, and so I'm an audience of one now, which is I believe is that pure place as an artist to where you're making music that you love, regardless of who else in the world love it. And that's when you start finding that true appreciation because art is meant to be looked at, right? A lot of artists die before their art is appreciated. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So even now, it's like if you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. I love it. I'm the artist now. And I was more trying to be a salesman at first. You know what I'm saying? And I was trying to emulate what I thought other people's ear wanted to hear. And so this project, this music is just pure to me. It's what I wanted to say. It's how I wanted to say it. And I love it more than any music I've ever written.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome to be talking with you and to hear that what you're saying is, well, okay, look, I'm delivering what I brought with me. I heard what they said they wanted, and I served that. And I'm done serving what they asked for. Now I'm going to serve what I brought with me. That's
Yeah.
so cool, man. Because
Yeah.
there are a lot of people who, timing and rhythm is everything. And there's a
Yeah.
lot of people in our business who get hung up in one or the other of that, or trying to take them and slam them together and try and serve them both at the same time, and it's just heartache. I've seen a lot of horror stories in this business, um, from artists that are trying to assimilate what's considered, at the pinnacle of commercial sales. So, we need to make what they said, just jump on this thing and make something like that. And who they really are, they don't even get to find that person. The relationship that they need to have with themselves never starts. So I'm
Right.
really happy for our listening and viewing audience that you mentioned this, and it's so cool to be in your presence while you're having that experience. That's awesome, man.
Yeah, man. I appreciate that. And that when I tell you that's been my breakthrough with this year was finding that freedom to just love my own voice. You know what I'm saying? And not judge myself so harshly.
Excellent.
And that's freedom, man. And so and honestly, I'm doing better. Like more people because it's authentic. You know what I'm saying? They hear it, it's pure. And I feel as though the world came around to me. You know what I'm saying? It's like I was made for this moment. Like I truly believe that my music, my voice was made for this moment in time. To where when you hear my music, it's gonna cut through everything else you hearing. Like,
Well,
what is that?
I'm gonna say this about that. When I listened, and I've been around this for a long time, so for me, the words that I use is, well, wait a minute, this dude is singing like he don't really, all right, he could understand that I want it served a certain way, but it's kind of like he already knows, no, you need it like this. And you know what? I do. Holy shit. Yeah, more. Everybody can't do that. They don't
Yeah,
teach that in vocal training. They don't teach that in drama school. You just have to, it's a thing that has to happen from inside. This much I know. That's why I
yeah.
keep elaborating on it because this don't happen all the time. Don't happen all the time. But that said, let's talk a little bit about this thing that you made with your company and how that maybe he could be one of the key people to help us make sure that it's what your intention was. Him being independent and being his own boss and everything that we just talked about.
Right.
Please go ahead.
So per your professional experience, music director, composer, artist, and everything, you know, that right now, if you needed to find a female drummer in a city you've never been to for a show that you have tonight, what would you currently do to find that female drummer?
If I'm going into a market and I didn't know anybody, I would you know, I would probably go to social media and put it out there. I'm in this city, you know anybody, and people would tag each other and spread around, and you'll get flooded with a lot of people, most of them who probably trash, or or I know a lot of people. I've been in the business a long time, so if I'm in Chicago, I know people in Chicago. I know people in Atlanta that know people in Chicago, so I could actually pick up the phone and ask, call a few people. You know somebody because behind the scenes, when you've been in the game long enough, it ain't as big as you think. You see what I'm saying? It ain't as big as it seems because everybody's connected. And last thing you want, you get a referral and you don't do right, you getting kicked out the club. You know what I'm saying? So, so being having a good name in the circles of touring musicians and that goes a long way as well, but that's a more of an informal system of referrals and relationships. But like you saying, having a place where you can just really dial in and find those people, that's not really available. I have some things like that I do here in my hometown with my own circle of trusted musicians, but that's not always readily available, that information.
Right. So if you had something that was readily available that gave you all the prerequisite answers to the questions you have before you approach someone to move forward, would something like that be beneficial for you?
Oh yeah, that absolutely cut down that time. If you're in, especially if you're in a hurry, you know what I mean. And as for me, like I said, depending on how extensive it is, especially with session musicians, and you can check out their portfolio, and go through and see an interview, and that'd be great. You know what I mean, if producers, if there was just a realistic thing, not just the hype of social media. Social media drive me nuts. I love it, but just a database of real,
The
uh,
real, what you
real
did,
accredited people.
what
Like,
I did, none of the extra stuff. I played the
yeah,
tambourine, you played the thing, he did
yes,
one of these. That's exactly what it's saying.
yes, exactly.
Yes, sir. Well, you just described what we created.
It's
Mm.
called Music's Boulevard, musixblvd.com. It can be found in Google Play. And if you're using an iOS Apple phone, we'd be more than happy to invite you into our beta test group on test flight so you can hang out with the rest of the people who are assisting us in making sure that it is what we said we would make for the industry. In
Hmm.
short, and I don't know if they're gonna tell me I have to stop saying this, but this is the easiest way to explain it. IMDb and LinkedIn had a baby, and the kid services the music industry for everybody,
Gotcha.
from performing, recording artists all the way to the booking agents and venue owners. We do have a 1 minute explainer video. We'd love to get your knee-jerk reaction to our explainer video. If you bear with us,
Yeah.
watch.
Mhm. Mhm.
Now go back again. So your knee-jerk reaction to our 1 minute explainer video.
I love it. I love it.
Thank you.
And you said this is already up and
Yes,
operable
yes.
on
Now,
Google
do
Play.
you using an iPhone or using Android?
I'm iPhone.
Okay, we want to invite you to become one of our beta testers. The Android version is finished. It's in Google Play.
Okay.
But the iPhone version, we're still working with that. And where do we, what's our team telling us?
We're working on launching that in the
Yep.
next 60 days or so.
Okay.
So within there, everything that you see in the video is fully functional within the test app. So you'll have access to all of that.
Hmm.
And
I
and so my
I
question
love it. I
would
love
be,
to test that out.
if you had something like this app when you started your journey, what would your career would have looked like now?
I don't know. That's a good question.
It's funny that you should ask that because I'm trying to, like think in his behalf with the speed that he's been moving at and the stuff that happened to him. If he had this, he'd probably already, I don't know, maybe produced 4 or 5 different acts that became like super celebrities and go on and open his label and do his thing all at the same time because you have seamless integration of the information. So you can get whoever you want to be with whoever you want. They get the opportunity to really check you out. Nobody can lie to anybody.
Mhm.
Everybody's verifying everybody. So it's peer-to-peer validation and verification of
Mhm.
skill sets, work habits, work ethic, Okay, so he great, he a real bad bass player. Well, was he sober when he came to work? Did he realize that, everybody in the place is married, and remember that when you're a bachelor and everything, but everybody in the place is somebody's old lady. Just do the gig. All of this stuff is important.
Yeah.
So we had hoped to create a network. Okay, in other words, a device, a working productivity tool that you can hold in your hand that covers all of that. So if you need to call a musical director because the guy's saying I want to gig with you, and okay, well, yeah, I remember you was on stage with Chaka Khan. Now, I ain't the bass player, and that's not the drummer that got in the fight with the background singer after the gig when we was in Chicago. Is it, or did he just look like we got the call? So yeah, I want to make it humorous, but that is our point. Okay,
Yeah.
even for credentialing, okay, professional credentials, SAG, AFTRA, the various performing artist organizations, all verifiable, along with um, your aggregated total of streams and the platforms that they were on, so you can keep up with your stuff on a moment-to-moment basis.
Mm-hmm.
That situation you talked about where you know too much and that now the label has to actually have a real business conversation with you and not middleman you.
Yeah.
Now everybody can come into that room, all of their information organized in a user-friendly way to sit down and have that conversation.
Right.
But
Right.
you just reminded me of something about him, and this is funny too. This goes like before my time. So one of my so-called OGs
Uh-huh.
explained to me that back in the day at Stax Records, the books were always open. Okay, anybody who was signed to that label could come into the office and say, "I want to see how many 45s did I sell this week? So how much of my money that we made together can I walk out of here with?" And I said to them, okay, does that mean that they were absolutely 100% above board, legitimate, and honest, to like it's a religion, like honesty is a religion, like God is watching, that kind of
Yeah.
honest. You know what he
Yeah.
told me? He says, you would think that that's what would happen, but what was really going on is they knew that, okay, if Otis Redding made all the money and that's where everybody's paycheck came from last Friday, ain't nobody coming in here to see how did they do last week, because all I'm have to do is tell them, well, you know what, nobody was really hitting the checks I gave y'all last Friday. Alvin is the reason y'all got paid. I mean, wasn't nobody else selling no records, so I had to take the money that the company collected in behalf of the sales that he made and split that up amongst my family. That's what we're doing. And so what this resulted in is that unless you knew you were in the number one position, you never came to the office and went, I'd like to talk to you about my royalties, see how my sales is doing. Because you're not number one, so why do you want to be in that conversation?
Right.
The guy in the number one position paying everybody else salary that week. Things
Mm-hmm.
change. And now when you're not in position, you just don't get paid. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
But continue. You just reminded me of that. Please continue. We were talking about the app and
But I,
what
I like
potential
I like what you're
business.
saying. If you're on either side of the table, having that information aggregated in one place shortens that conversation. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
It shortens that conversation to um like you saying, if it is me and I'm talking to a label, I'm gonna know. Look, I'm gonna tell you right now, I ain't got the numbers,
Right.
but I got something. Look at it. It's right here. I don't have 20 million streams, but I got something special. You see what I'm saying? Because why? We can both look at it and tell you ain't there yet. You know what I'm saying? It keeps both parties honest. You know what I'm saying? I like what you're saying. If that was there and you had that, and that was a means of communicating with somebody on an honest level. You know what I'm saying? I think that's super cool because a lot of people try to, you know, do the hype thing. Man, let's fluff these things, these numbers up. Let's fluff this up. but but how many people actually, I always pre-COVID days. I say when in the days of gathering, you may have 100,000 views on your video from your room, but you got 5 people at your show.
Right.
Some ain't right.
Correct. And now, because you can meet 8 people who do music coming out of Walmart today. And they could say, Alvin wrote 4 of my songs. Ben wrote 3 of them, and the big homie made the other one. Well, how do you know he tell me? If I met him, how do I know that you didn't write 4 songs for him, or that he didn't do anything for him without spending the time to actually find out?
Right. Right.
Well, with this, what did you say your name was? Oh, okay. All right. Well, Alvin, none of this is on Alvin's page. So I'm inclined to believe that you just made all of this stuff up.
Right.
Period.
Right.
And from the administration side, like you were saying, because they ask you how many followers you have, how many streams you got, how much of this, how much of that. But it's a one button process now. You want to know about me? My ID number is this. So look me up, and you have everything. The whole due diligence is a 1 to 2 button process now.
Mm-hmm. I like that, man.
We want you to join us in test flight, play around with it, meet some of the other users, and come back on to the podcast and give us your real professional opinion about what your experience was as a test user of
Yeah.
what we made, with the intention being that if we did miss anything, well, we told our development, our tech team that if the big boys tell us we missed something, y'all going back in the lab and go make it do what it's supposed to do. So that's
Mm-hmm.
what this is all about. We're talking to yourself and individuals like yourself with similar status and previous and current accomplishments as a way and a means of making sure that, as I said, we hope to be that tool. It's like the hammer that you get, when you're in the carpentry school and the guys, you're in the apprentice and come in for your union all meeting. He says, y'all see this right here? This is the hammer. It's on my tool belt. I've been carrying this since I was you. We got them at the front door. Make sure you come back with one tomorrow. Well, we want to be that hammer. The only way we can
Yeah.
do that is for you guys to help us out and make sure that we made
Yeah.
what you need.
That's
This is
right.
where we are.
I love it. I love it, man. I would love to get at a shot. I would love to, man.
Excellent. We're going to get that to
'Cause-
you. For those of you who have just tuned in to this podcast, you are listening to the UHIH1 Media Broadcast team. I'm Benito Childs. I've been hanging out with Alvin Garrett here, talking about music and the wonderful accomplishments that he's been making and his breakthrough to independence and autonomy in the music industry, along with Deshaun Goree, who's president CEO of Music's Boulevard. I work over there too, but I don't claim any titles. We just work together. Yeah, I'm more like a talk show kind of a radio personality. I'm
Oh
not
yeah.
ready to go
I
to
love it.
heavyweights in the tech industry. Not yet. Anybody got shout outs they want to do before we button up for this segment?
Well, you go ahead. Are you giving it to me?
Please,
Yes,
go ahead.
sir. Go ahead.
All right, well, man, I definitely want to shout out, my family here, my 2 girls, Greer, the missus, and the Dannon Project was that organization I told you I work with here in Birmingham, uh, reentry program where I get a chance to like really give back and mentor, young people that have had some tough, shots in life. So Cannon Project does some amazing work, and we got some really good things going on with that. So I like to give a shout out to them. Uh, and just out to all of the people that have been sticking with me, that listening to my music and giving me a shot. Just people that's been listening, giving me a shot. So check me out, alvingarrett.com. If you haven't learned enough from this, check me out to learn more, alvingarrett.com. All my social media is the Alvin Garrett, Instagram, Facebook, and just go look me on all the streaming sites. Just sort of take a listen to my music catalog and um, a lot of the people that I've written for that's documented on my website as well.
Yes,
So
sir. And so I like to ask our guests before we get out of here, if you ran into your former self when you first started, y'all jumped in the elevator together and he said, hey, give me some words of wisdom before we get out of here, what would you tell?
if I was on the elevator, I'll say, uh, learn to serve. Learn to serve is what you give the world that matters, not what you take from it. You remember for what you leave. Serve. Be of service to this world.
I heard that. And you keep saying Birmingham. So I want to ask, have you ever went down to Pensacola Beach?
Pensacola, I'm not a beach person myself, what I'm saying? But I've been to Pensacola to do a couple of gigs, and play down there. But man, I got in that water one good time and got a crab bite on my. It was something bit me on my foot. I ain't been back. Hey, I send the wife and the kids down. I'm like, hey, I'll write that check. Y'all enjoy yourself.
Yeah, there we go with another Florida story that's not exactly what you call it. He said he put his feet in the water. I was in the bathroom in Miami, and you know how you go in the bathroom and you decided I'll turn the light on after I sit down. I reached up to where the light switch was supposed to be to turn the lights on, and the light switch crawled down my arm. So I can't not my.
What was that? A spider or a snake?
No, it was one of them things with the wings on it. What do you call it? The wing cockroach or whatever. Yeah, they have them out
Oh,
here in the desk where we are too. Yeah. Mhm.
What about the races down in Atmore?
huh?
I said, what about the races down in Atmore?
The races? What race? Atmore is where the prison is. Well, that's all I know about.
Oh, so you never been down to the racetrack, to the motorcycle and muscle car races?
No, man, I ain't no country boy like that now.
Oh, see that Pensacola, that's my city. That's where I
No,
came from before I
I'm like,
came
what? I
here.
thought I was like Talladega. Like, what races you talking about?
It's a racetrack in Atmore where they do all the motorcycle races and muscle car races.
Oh, nah, man, I ain't that much of a country boy.
Now, wait. Just because they said that, we're going to call down there and make sure that they push his new songs while they down there. He's going to end up getting a phone call and have to come down there and perform.
Oh, I'll be there. I'll be singing, right? I'll be singing.
Did you say muscle car? I got you.
Hey, let's do it.
So what are your plans moving forward? Are you going to be back gigging? Are you getting booked? What's going on out there? I'm asking everybody this because a lot of people that we know, they ain't get back to work till 2021, February, March. And then some people we know are being called on to the tour circuit. And these phone calls are coming like 5 hours apart. 5 hours ago, everybody was getting ready to get everything in the suitcase, make sure you got the ammo cases, make sure you got your fits, go get a haircut, blah, blah, blah. 5 hours after that, nope, it's not happening. So on your end, in your neck of the woods, what is happening? What's the general consensus about whether or not performing entertainers are going back on stage full force in the big venues?
I'm glad you asked. A major part of my business model here is uh they about to cut us off.
No, we're good.
Okay, is I guess is the private sector business and what I call the public sector, like what you just mentioned, the touring and live performances where you're selling tickets, right? That was being interrupted. On the private sector, we do weddings, corporate events. So I got a business where that's pretty much the lifeblood of the business. And honestly, uh, my Republican demographics, they got started back in July and been back to it, right? Because the COVID just ain't impacting that side of the railroad as much on the private sector. So that business has been chugging along, contracts coming back, but that's the out of sight, out of mind
Right,
industry.
right.
Every year, people fall in love spending big money on weddings and cover tune bands. So I have a business where I staff that and I do that. I do most of the plan, but I kind of pulled back from that and started focusing on my own career. But my company still runs it. So that is going well. I've developed some live streaming models for a lot of our I'll say our African American clients who are a little less apt to gather, so now I'm about to start getting into the live streaming model, showing how to still make money or raise money through that. So I've never been as an artist a touring artist. Truth be told,
Right.
I as a musician now I tour, not as an artist. So I've always kept the lights on and taking care of my family with the private sector model, which has given me the resources I need to invest in my what I call white collar pursuits, my songwriting, because that costs more money than I've made. Now I'm starting to get a return now that my career is moving forward. But I always keep this as that foundation, that what I call that blue collar hustle, where you just simply getting out performing. And so I'm hoping that once things pick back up, that my brand, continuing to do things like this, so that when people start saying, "Hey, I want to see you on stage again," that I'll be invited and I will be able to tour as an artist. So I'm really looking forward to that. But I'm not sitting still. Like I said, I'm teaching my songwriting class, making proposals to the school systems to implement my songwriting class to their arts programming, especially with a lot of the things being done online. So I'm one of those type of people where I'm just not going to sit back and do nothing. So I've been just looking to evolve and even sort of create opportunities for a lot of the people that aren't on the road, like, hey man, come play in the wedding band. It may not be as glamorous as touring with this artist and that artist, but it's a check,
Right,
you know.
right.
So it's really, lighting directors. So a lot of people have been touring lighting directors. I'm using them for the weddings now. So it's just repurposing the market,
The talent.
you know.
Okay,
Um, and
okay.
so I encourage people like to say, hey, if you can mask up and you feel safe and you can play for weddings and stuff like that, man, people still want to party even during tough times. Uh,
Mhm.
and I know that's real heavy down here in the South where people like to have their parties. And so we've been doing a lot of that to keep all and I keep a lot of musicians with enough money coming in to where they're not totally out on their back. So I'm really grateful for that.
But we certainly appreciate your wisdom and your commentary as we are all trying to help each other figure out how do you survive the economic downturn in the
Mhm.
middle of a health crisis and pandemic that appears as though it was designed to take you out. Really,
Yeah. Yeah.
again, that's just an appearance, but that's what I think.
Yeah. Well, like I said, man, I've always been a big dreamer. And so I just so happened to had a model in place that, and I'm fortunate, man, that, and I lie to you, there's a lot of people that turned their back on me when I was trying to tour that need me now.
Is
That's,
it?
that's usually how it goes,
Isn't
right?
that the way it goes, though?
They're like, dang, you still working. Like you doing good. I'm like, yeah. But like I say, I'm a humble guy, man. I'm always grateful. Um, I always pray for safety for my family and my friends and everybody. But I'm grateful, and that I've been able to sort of evolve with the situation and think outside the box, and show people how to engage and even with the streaming model. finding ways to create the feeling. Like I feel like I'm with you guys. I know it's computer. I feel like there's a connection. And
Right.
that's what I feel people missed out on. They rushed so fast into just doing stuff, but they couldn't recreate human connection. And there's a way to do that to where people feel like I can feel you, even if I'm not physically touching you. That's how you get those dollars to it. Say, well, I want to spend money to engage this because I feel something. And I just did a live stream, my first one. Man, I literally I had to. It looked like I was on tour because I didn't want nobody looking at me like I became a tip jar artist. I'm not a I'm not a tip jar artist. I spent so much money on making sure that when you see that video, you like, dang, when we get back, we want him. Because I wasn't gonna do that to myself. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I had the LD, I had the combo screen, I had the band. I'm talking about I went all in. I wasn't about to be singing out of here, because I said no, I'm gonna let my fans know that I'm still worth that dollar. I'm still worth what I'm asking you to pay to engage my product. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna get this to you, but don't think just tip me for
Right.
for this. No, I'm not gonna do myself that way. And I encourage artists. I said stop doing that tip jar thing. I said because you're not sure they gonna start back paying you for what they tipped you for. Consumers are funny.
But in today's market, with what appears to be this transition into virtual only format. In other words, the more it looks like COVID-19 is really a big, hairy, ugly, evil, dark problem. And, unless you're an expert, stop trying to whip on it, wait for them to come up with something. In the meanwhile, pray and keep your nose to the grindstone.
Mm-hmm.
That said, okay, if we are not going back to big venue, work, okay, a lot of people are having conversations about, well, all right, well, we used to charge $80 a head, okay. Well, let's give a concert on the internet, but to 166 countries around the world and just charge $5 a head or $5 a household. How does that, when you hear that, how does that hit you? What's your knee-jerk reaction commentary to that information?
I mean, like I said, you got those that have been grandfathered in
Mm-hmm.
who may can charge for access, but the marketplace says the content is free. And I think
Ah,
that is the part where most people miss out, especially in our industry. They don't think about the consumers. They think about
hmm,
it from a say, I'm selling my product. I'm an artist. I'm sensitive about my ish and I but the consumer says it's free because I done seen all this great content for free on the internet. So why would I pay $5 to see you when I can see everybody else for free? See what I'm saying? That's what the market is telling the consumers. So that is a great challenge to say in a market that is the product and you got major artists, all this versus stuff. You are conditioning the lovers of music to watch great content for free. So how do you make
well,
that person?
it's interesting that it is an astute observation that you make. I just want to kind of throw this out and see what your thoughts are about it. Um, this show currently has, at last count, roughly 12 million listeners around the world in 166 countries. Now,
Mhm.
based on what we learned in marketing and promotion, if we really didn't try that hard and we asked everybody for $1 and we didn't sell them anything, we're gonna get a 1% return.
Mhm. Mhm.
Now, based on that, are we saying that it's easier to say, look here, y'all, I'm gonna play some music, the music free. I just want you to help me keep my lights on. Everybody send me 50 cents. And I'm liable to get more 50 cents than I would get from people that I said to, you know what, just pay me a quarter. That's all I want for the music. They don't want to pay me nothing for the music, but if they're helping me keep my
I
lights
was
on,
I
then
would
that's
say
cool.
you're rebranding the exchange, right?
Okay.
I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with what I say the tip jar business, because you can make a lot of money getting letting people give you what they feel you're worth or how much they value if the content is that great, right? Or if somebody says, man, I believe in what y'all doing, I'm gonna give you more than you would charge me, right? Um, if your relationship with your 12, you said 12 million, say, look, listen, whatever you feeling, right? Support us. We need you. And because they value it, make you have to have that relationship, because you can't say, hey man, you gotta pay $10 or they're gonna turn you off, because I don't want to pay $10. But I might give you 20. You rebranding the exchange in some way to where well, you could easily go hear somebody else, but you're here because of this relationship we have with you. There's something you feel about us. Go ahead and support us. Make sure we can continue to do this thing. And you might find, oh man, I'm compelled to give you and to support and to put more into it. And I think that puts the onus on us, the content creators, to connect to people for real. You know what I'm saying? To not just say support me, try to keep my light. Well, you don't know what that person going through. But what is it that you do that inspires them, that says, you know what, I want to be a part of this in some way, and I'm gonna do it with my dollars. And so it raises the bar of engagement to where you can make money in a market like this. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not easy, and most people aren't thinking hard enough, or they may not care enough about their consumers to even try to give them something other than beg them. You know what I mean? So honestly, like I said, as humbly as I can, I know people got to do what they got to do. And there's a lot of people out there in our industry doing the best they can. So we got to do that. But I just try my best to say, what do I stand for? And what do I mean to people? Why do they care about me? Why would they give me anything? Let me make that matter. And then I have a better chance of surviving this. You know what I'm saying? And for me, I have found that in teaching the songwriting class and recording young people and what I talked about earlier, that's given me purpose. And I've been able to get support because of that, because they see me giving back, you know? And so that has been something that worked for me. May not work for everybody else, but that's been something that has worked for me, is people saying, man, I love what you're doing for these young people. We want to contribute to your cause. We want to help you do what you're doing. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. We want to thank you for hanging out with us. We're gonna have you back.
Yes.
I think we'll have beyond what's in it, maybe 3, 4 days to play around with the app and test flight. Maybe we'll come back after that. So
That's fine.
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm down.
So we receive our invitation to join the rest of the beta testers for Music Boulevard, and then come back and hang out with us some more in about 3 days and tell us what you really think.
I would definitely, I'll definitely do it. I'll be on the lookout, and I'll put
Again,
that
we're
thing right on there.
proud, pleased, and privileged to have you on with us. Have
And
an
thank y'all,
unlimited
man.
evening. Be excellent to yourself and others. Bye for now.
Bye now. Thank you guys.
Good night.
Hello, 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 world. I'm Benito Childs, and you're watching the You Heard It Here First. That's UHIH1ST Media Broadcast and Network Team. Thank you for watching.